All right, everybody. Good afternoon. This is the Fantasy Sports Boss. The Jonathan Taylor Day is here. Going to monitor the Jonathan Taylor situation leading up to the team-imposed 4 p.m. deadline, and there are ramifications here beyond just that deadline, which we're going to get into. Also, wanted to talk about some of the other cuts that were made today. News of the day, my final rankings for the summer leading into the 2023 fantasy football season, all that and more. Now, as far right to the top, wanted to check in right off the bat on the Jonathan Taylor situation. The latest is that Miami, remains the main and the one and only possible destination. But Field Yates of ESPN made a really good point today. He said that if the Colts do not take Taylor off the PUP list by 4 p.m., by the 4 p.m. deadline for the trade, then he will miss the first 4 games of the season. So there's some ramifications here. If a deal doesn't get done and the Colts and Taylor, the relationship is still beyond repair, they could just simply put him on the PUP list and say to hell with him and have him sit out the first 4 games of the season. You would like to think that wouldn't be an option, but we've been dealing with this for weeks now. It's gotten ugly with him, Jonathan Taylor and Irsay, the owner. So, have no clue what's going to happen there. A couple of other, reading the tea leaf situation, Cedric Wilson, Miami Dolphins, and they restructured his contract today. Maybe that frees up some cap space to bring in Taylor. I don't know. I've been hitting the refresh button like everybody else. Who knows? There's just nothing concrete has come out. Usually you get some, some of these insiders start really coming out with some information that it's imminent, all this other stuff. Nothing like that has happened. And a lot of times too, you got to parse through all of these fake accounts and all, the fake Ian Rappaport accounts and all this other stuff. All right. So I'm just looking. So who's Justin Cohen? You see, this is what I'm talking about. All right. So there's this guy, Justin Cohen, NFL for the Tallahassee Journal, that says the Colts and Dolphins have come to terms of a trade pending a physical. I don't know who this guy is. He's got 2,000 followers. So, just take that with a grain of salt. Is Evan Hull really going to start the season for the Colts, as the starting running back? I just don't see it. But yeah, this is going to be something I'm going to continue to update as we go along. Of course, it is cut down day. Not a lot of really big names have been cut loose, to this point. The Miami Dolphins did release Myles Gaskin. The Giants, as expected, got rid of Jamison Crowder. Also, Cole Beasley will not make the initial roster, but they're going to keep him around. Just to see, it's probably to add him, I would imagine, at some point during the season. He knows the system, so it wouldn't be that big of a deal for him to just hang on for a couple of weeks before they officially bring him aboard. So anyway, also today I wanted to give you guys my final position rankings: the tight end, running back, quarterback, and wide receiver before we go into the season. So I wanted to share that as well. And of course, you guys post your questions and whatnot, and hopefully we'll have some Jonathan Taylor news as we're sitting here right now. But at this point, still nothing. Josh Allen, A.J. Brown for Justin Jefferson. No, I would not do that trade. No. You'd be giving away the freight there. Allen and Brown for Jefferson. Listen, I like Justin Jefferson as much as anybody, but A.J. Brown is a prime wide receiver 1 as well. Cut ties, bench him for 4 games. You know what? I can't even believe that would be a possible option for the Colts. Would they really have him sit out the first 4 games of the season? And anybody that took the plunge on Taylor, and he was going, in the 5th, 6th round in some drafts over the last couple of weeks with this uncertainty hovering over him, that would really be just a major, major blow, for anybody who did wind up investing in Jonathan Taylor. And again, that's why you want to have your draft as close to the start of the season as possible. Just pulling up the transaction wire here to see Kellen Mond was cut by the Browns. Albert O, the tight end of the Denver Broncos, got his walking papers. Dwayne McBride released by the Vikings. A lot of kicker movement today as well, which was interesting. Chosen Anderson dropped by the Dolphins. Philip Dorsett released by the Raiders. Damian Williams released by the Raiders because Josh Jacobs is now back, back with the team, back with the Raiders. So there's no reason to keep him aboard. Nathan Peterman released by the Bears. Can't believe that guy is still in the NFL. He's just so bad. Malik Davis was released by the Dallas Cowboys. So Deuce Vaughn and Rico Dowdle will be the guys behind Tony Pollard. I'm still surprised they haven't brought in anybody else. Nick Folk traded to the Titans. That was interesting there. That's pretty much it. Corey Clement was released by the Cardinals. I mean, listen, this whole thing with the Cardinals is just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, they're just cutting everybody. They're trading everybody. If you have James Conner like I do in one league, that's a potential problem that they're just really just tearing every piece of that team, tearing it down to the studs for sure. Kirk Cousins or Daniel Jones. I have Daniel Jones slightly ahead of Kirk Cousins in my rankings, which I guess is a good place to start today in terms of my top 12 quarterbacks. So this is my final top 12 list for the 2023 fantasy football season. Of course, going into the season, Arizona is definitely tanking. Listen, they want Caleb Williams for sure, and they're really not hiding that. So Kyler Murray, I think, is gonna. I don't know what the contract stipulation is with Kyler Murray, but I mean, if they have a chance to get Caleb Williams, you do it. I mean, this is also the same organization that quickly realized they had a bust in a real draft pick dog in Josh Rosen, and they made room for Kyler Murray. They could easily do the same thing now with Murray, bringing in Caleb Williams, or the kid from North Carolina, who a lot of people aren't talking about. He could be the number one pick as well. Taylor was just reported to the Dolphins by Schefter, but took it back. I mean, there's starting to be some reports coming out about this. I don't see anything I'm updating right now. I don't see anything imminent, but that's been the team all along that's been in the lead. So I still think that's where he's going to end up. All right, so quarterback rankings. Number 12 on my list is Kirk Cousins. I mean, the guy's been very, very dependable. I know he doesn't run, but he's been, a top 12, 13 quarterback pretty much, each of the last 5 years. I mean, the numbers are there at the end of the season. This is a passing offense. He's got great weapons in Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison. The offensive line is solid. I think Kirk Cousins, if you really choose to wait on a quarterback, he's number 12 on my list. I have Geno Smith at number 11. So listen, you could draft Geno Smith. He went in the last round in one of my drafts and the second to last round in the other. You could take both Cousins and Smith and just rotate them throughout the course of the season. Or you could add number 10, Daniel Jones. Now, I have Jones probably a little bit higher than others. I really like the way he looks. I attended training camp. Everything was spot on with him as far as throwing the football. He's got a new weapon in Darren Waller. They really improved this team in terms of weaponry, the offensive line. You have Brian Dable there. I think Daniel Jones is going to be really good. Number 9, I have Deshaun Watson. Now, again, he hasn't really played that well this preseason. There is concern about him. Has he lost a step? I don't think so. I still think he was just working off some rust. And if you see me looking to the side, that's because I'm refreshing my Jonathan Taylor feed. But I still think, Deshaun Watson is going to be good. The weapons are solid. I have him as a screaming value, number 9 overall in my quarterback rankings. Number 8, I have Trevor Lawrence. I kind of flip-flopped him, Justin Fields, and Justin Herbert, all different orders throughout the course of the summer. I've settled on Lawrence at number 8. I know this is a passing offense. I've been extremely high on Lawrence all summer. The only concern I have is that he's in a division with Indianapolis and Houston. So I expect the Jaguars to be up significantly in those games, that they're probably going to run it a lot in the second half and not air it out. It's going to take some opportunities away from Lawrence. So that's something to look at. The Eagles just let loose Trey Sermon, so that's one running back that they've let go. Rashad Penny looks like he's going to be staying around. I draft Brian Robinson in the later rounds. I got Charbonnet, and someone drafted Algier in the later rounds, and I saw he has Walker. Would you trade Charbonnet for Algier or no? I know Walker. No, I wouldn't do that. I really like Charbonnet, and Walker is extremely injury prone, whereas we don't know if Bijan Robinson is going to be injury prone. So we may not even need Tyler Algier. So I wouldn't do that. Half PPR, who are you taking, Bijan, Chubb, or Kelsey? Half PPR, I'm taking Kelsey. A lot of touchdowns, a lot of receptions. Dameon Pierce, I do like Dameon Pierce. I think Devin Singletary is going to play maybe a little bit more than you would like to see if you're a Pierce owner, but I think it's going to be about 70-30. Maybe 65-35, the different the workloads, I should say, between the two of them. All right, so back to my rankings. I have Justin Fields at number 7. All right, Justin Ross made the Chiefs. So Justin Ross has made the Kansas City Chiefs. I have Fields at number 7, Justin Herbert at number 6. So I know that there's a little bit of a discussion about those two. You can debate that all you want. I'm worried about listen, when you talk about durability, Justin Herbert has that over Justin Fields. I don't think there's any question about it. Plus, he has the much better batch of weapons compared to Justin Fields. In addition to that, reason number 3, the weather is much better, obviously, in Southern California than it's going to be with the Chicago Bears, in the winter time when you need these guys the most. Justin Fields, it could be snowing, could be ice, could be all that stuff. So I have Herbert at number 6, Fields at number 7, Lawrence at number 8. All right, so I have Lamar Jackson now back at number 5. I had him at 4 for a while. Now I put him back at 5. Joe Burrow's my number 4 because it looks like Burrow's okay from that calf injury. So all systems to go there. And then listen, the top 3, Mahomes, Hurts, or Allen, I have no argument with any order of those 3. Right now I have it Mahomes 1, Hurts 2, Allen 3. But you could easily do Allen 1, Mahomes 2, Hurts 3, whatever order. I don't think there's any – it's pointless to have that discussion. If you want to say that Hurts has the better weapons and he's the better runner, okay, you could put him number 1. But all 3 guys are fantasy gems. There's no doubt about it. And I don't think that there's any arguments for whichever guy that you wind up putting first, ahead of the other 2 there. So those are my top 12 quarterbacks. I think, again, Geno Smith is a screaming value. Deshaun Watson is a value. I think you really need to take advantage of those generous price tags. All right, still nothing on Taylor. We are an hour and 17 minutes away. I mean, are they really going to go down to the wire with this? I mean, what are they possibly haggling over? I said it's going to be probably a 2nd round pick, and I would say maybe a 5th, a 2 and a 5. That's where I think Miami's going to have to fork over to get Jonathan Taylor. That's what I'm thinking there. All right, running backs. Top 24 running backs. So I have Alexander Mattison at 24. All right. I'm not 100% on board with him. I want to see it over a full season before I really get completely in bed with the guy. He's shown flashes in the past, don't get me wrong, but he also really wasn't that good running the ball last year as well. Number 23, I have Cam Akers. This is a really bad team. This Rams team is really bad. And so are they going to allow him to run the ball a lot in the second half of games? They're going to be trailing a lot. So I can't really rank Akers any higher than that. Number 22, Miles Sanders. Like I said yesterday on the stream, I cooled on him a little bit just because he's been really struggling catching the football the last couple of seasons. His advanced metrics just are not very attractive. Let's just put it that way. He's been banged up, injury prone. That definitely applies to Miles Sanders. Number 21, I have Rachaad White. I do own Rachaad White in one of my leagues. I think there's going to be a ton of dump-off passes to him. Baker Mayfield loves to throw underneath. The Bucs are going to be trailing a lot. They're going to be targeting him heavily. I think 50 catches is an absolute lock. 60 I expect from Rachaad White. So in a PPR league, he absolutely makes the grade as a solid, dependable running back too. Are you ranking defenses? No, I'll look at that before the end of the stream. I gave you guys the New Orleans Saints as the defense that won't cost you an arm and a leg, as opposed to like San Francisco, Philadelphia, Buffalo. I do like the Saints defense. I think they have a really good schedule as well. Yeah, Cameron, you could post that on the message board on the league channel message board. I'll take a look at it, or you can just tweet it to me as well at RotoBoss. All right, who am I up to? Number 20, I have James Conner at number 20. Listen, he's been good, and a lot of people forget that he was at his most productive when Kyler Murray has not played the last couple of years. So moving the football is going to be a challenge for this team, no doubt about it. But I think that Conner still has decent overall ability. All right, I have Alvin Kamara at 19. Obviously missing the first 3 games of the season, but I think he's going to be solid, working in conjunction with Jamal Williams. Dameon Pierce is my number 18. I was hoping that Devin Singletary or whoever it wasn't going to sign there so that they would give him more of an opportunity. But I think that Pierce is very, very solid. I have Kenneth Walker at 17. You all know I don't like Kenneth Walker. He's a good runner. I'm not going to take that away from him. He's explosive. He can hit the seam quickly, get to that midline quick, no doubt about it. But he's not durable. He doesn't catch the football. Upright running style. That's going to lead to some trouble down the road. Jahmyr Gibbs is 16. I'm really curious to see how they use him. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for him, especially in that opener against the Chiefs. They're going to have to pass the ball to keep up with Patrick Mahomes. But how many rushing opportunities is he going to get? And is he going to get any opportunities around the goal line? I think it's going to be David Montgomery there. I have Breece Hall at 15. Well, if he was completely healthy, Breece Hall, without a doubt, would be in my top 10. I think the world of him as a runner, as a receiver, as an overall player. His advanced numbers were incredible last season. Averaged over 5 yards per carry. Really, really good player. Dalvin Cook's going to complicate things, no doubt about it. And I think he's going to be that prevents him from being anything more than a high-end running back 2 in all leagues. Najee Harris, the most boring running back in fantasy, is number 14. I think he's going to be, I think he'll be okay. I'm not really looking for anything major from Najee Harris. I mean, he doesn't exactly scream big play. That goes without saying, but he's tough. He's durable. He'll give you an honest effort. I have Aaron Jones at 13, my old friend Aaron Jones, who I have every single year. And once again, I do have him on one of my leagues. I think Aaron Jones is always criminally underrated. He averaged over 5 a carry last year. He's going to catch a lot of passes out of the backfield. A.J. Dillon, I know they're very stubborn with using him around the goal line, but Aaron Jones gives you an honest effort every week. Travis Etienne is number 12. He has an outside chance of leading the NFL in rushing this season. I really do believe that. He's that good of a runner. He was another one, averaged over 5 yards per carry. When you average over 5 per carry over an extended time period of the season, then that's a really impressive number. And that's what Etienne was able to do last season. So I think that bodes well for him as a runner. Now, Tank Bigsby is a big threat. How many passes is Bigsby going to catch out of the backfield? That's what we're going to have to see. If you're playing a survivor pool, go against Arizona every week. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's going to wind up doing that. So, but at one point, it's definitely going to bite you because I don't see this, the Cardinals losing every game. I have Joe Mixon at number 11. I wouldn't draft him anywhere. I mean, he's old as dirt. A lot of mileage on the guy. His yards per carry dropped last season, but the workload will be there, so he does deserve to be a top 12 ranked guy. I have Ramondre Stevenson at number 10. I don't think the Elliott thing is as much of a threat as some people are making it out to be. Yes, it's probably going to take a couple of touchdowns from him, but he wasn't a big touchdown guy last year anyway, and he caught, a million passes. So I think he's going to be just fine. Jonathan Taylor. Now, I have Jonathan Taylor at number 9 on the condition that he will be traded, or he's going to play for the Indianapolis Colts. So they have to remove him from PUP by 4:00, like I said at the beginning of the show, or he's going to miss the first 4 games of the season. Are they really going to be that pig-headed and keep him on the PUP list? Who knows? All right, number 8, I have Josh Jacobs. He's back in the fold now, so I like the fact that Jacobs is going to be the bell cow back for the Raiders. Zamir White just doesn't impress me. He's a limited player, doesn't catch the football. So I think Jacobs is going to be just fine, as your second round pick now that he's back with the team. Derrick Henry, number 7. Can he give you one more big season before he, goes into that firm decline phase of his career? I think he can. And listen, This Tennessee team, I told you yesterday, take the over because there's a decent amount of talent on this team. They're very well coached. We know that. It's an older team. It's an aging team. But in a weak division, with the Colts and the Texans, I think they have a chance to win the division. Nick Chubb is my number 6 running back. I have Pollard at number 5. You could flip-flop them. That's fine with me. But I have Pollard a little bit higher because I think he's got more upside. He obviously does catch the football, which Pollard doesn't. I have Bijan Robinson at number 4. Still uncertainty about how much work he's going to get. You're hearing rumblings that Algier and Cordell Patterson are going to get theirs. That would hurt Robinson. Plus, are they going to be able to move the football enough and put him in position to score? That's $1 million question there when it comes to Desmond Ridder. Saquon Barkley, I have at number 3. Number 2, I have CMC, and I have Austin Eckler number 1. The reason why I have Eckler number 1, he has proven better durability than McCaffrey. I think that they're going to spell McCaffrey a little bit more than you think with Elijah Mitchell. Of course, Mitchell has to get healthy himself, but it's a long-term view of this 49ers team. They want to win the Super Bowl. They want to get McCaffrey to the end of the regular season in one piece. That means more carries for Elijah Mitchell. And when both were on the field at the end of last season, towards the end of last season, it was about a 55-45 split. So Eckler, to me, massive amount of touchdowns the last couple of years. His receiving prowess is just as good as Christian McCaffrey. So I have Eckler number 1. All right, let me get to the top 24 wideouts now. This one, there's a lot of, especially, in the 4 to 10 range, there's a lot of discussion. What new Dolphins news, Lex? Yeah, you know what? I've been seeing a lot of this too. You got to really be careful what tweets you buy into because there's a lot of fake accounts, with this Jonathan Taylor news. So, but again, nothing doing from what I can see right now, and I just refreshed. Ended up trading Walker for. Hey, that's a good trade if you got Bijan Robinson for Walker. Yes, they just made a move for a cornerback. Yeah, you know what? The Dolphins are making a lot of moves today. All right, so my 24th ranked receiver is Tyler Lockett, criminally underrated. 8 touchdown catches each of the last 4, at least 8 touchdown catches each of the last 4 seasons. The only wideout to have done that. The rookie Jackson Smith is going to be out for at least the first couple of weeks with a fracture in his wrist. So Lockett, always underrated. Number 24. I have Chris Godwin at number 23. I don't think that Godwin will be hurt as much as Mike Evans in this offense. I just don't see. I think Mayfield throwing it short the way he does is more conducive to helping Godwin than it is for Mike Evans down the field. But then again, every time we doubt Mike Evans, he puts up 1,000 yards, and he's done it with some really bad quarterbacks in the past. All right, number 23, I have Christian Watson. I'm not a fan of him. I'm not as high on this guy. Listen, Romeo Doubs and Jordan Love have a connection, according to all of the team's beat reporters that are covering the team there. So I don't have the shares of Christian. I don't have any shares of Christian Watson, and I don't regret it. I think he's going to run very hot and cold like A.J. Brown was when he was with the Tennessee Titans. Dolphins freed up $4.2 million cap space. Jonathan Taylor's cap. Yeah, I mean, Eddie, it makes sense. I mean, I totally am with you on that, but still nothing. And I'm surprised too I guess the Eagles they might be still on the periphery here, but that they wound up keeping Rashad Penny. Who am I up to? All right, number 21. I have DJ Moore at 21. He's a big play guy. He's shown it already this preseason that he's got big playability. I'm not sure how often they're going to be throwing the ball in Chicago, but DJ Moore has more than proven himself, pardon the pun, has proven himself over the years to be a very underrated wide receiver. Over 1,000 yards on some really bad Carolina Panthers teams. All right, I have Deontay Johnson, number 20. He's been a target monster the last 4 seasons. He's going to be good again this year. Kenny Pickett looks decent, all right? And this is a very, very tough division with the Ravens, the Browns, who are improved, the Bengals. The Steelers are going to be playing from behind constantly. That means a lot of check down, short throws to Deontay Johnson. That is a PPR owner's dream. Go draft Deontay Johnson this season. Herbert, Saquon, Gibbs, Wilson, flex. Do I trade Saquon and London for Ridley, Stevenson, and Thielen? I wouldn't do that. I do like Drake London this year. I really do. His advanced metrics were good. I wouldn't do that trade. No. What am I up to? Number 19, I have DeAndre Hopkins. Clearly the number one guy. Treylon Burks is banged up. It's a narrow target trade. They don't throw the ball a lot in Tennessee, but Hopkins did prove when he came back from suspension last year that he could still be a wide receiver one, a low-end wide receiver one. This is not the Houston Texan version of Hopkins, but he can certainly still carry that mantle, at least for maybe one more season. I have Keenan Allen at number 18. My old friend Keenan Allen. You know how much I love Keenan Allen. I've had him a million times over the years. I think that he's just a rocket dependability production on a per game basis, but health wise, he's risky now. He's 31 years old. He's not getting that separation that he got in the past. So there is some danger here. Why are QBs ranked different when a league gives 6 points for TD? Okay, because good question. If it's 4 points for a touchdown, it favors the running quarterback. Okay. When it's 6, it evens things out more between the non-running quarterbacks, the stationary guys, and the running quarterbacks. That's why I've always made sure it's 6 points, because I don't want the running quarterbacks to have such a higher value than the stationary ones. Okay. I'll Cameron, I'll definitely take a look at that if you post that on the message board if you can. All right, Amari Cooper, I have 17. He's a tough one for me, Amari Cooper. He tends to run hot and cold for sure. Oh man, you're doing another Week 18 championship. You got to get out of that league, Zamora. Anyway, getting back to Amari Cooper. Yeah, it's not a linear situation with Cooper. It's up and down. He's up and down more than an elevator, but if anybody's going to be the number one guy in this Browns offense, it's going to be Cooper. All right, let me take a look at your team here now. 14-team full PPR, Burrow, Bijan, good. Javonte, I'm not sure about him. Devontae Smith, Drake London, Goddard. You got to break up Devontae Smith and Goddard, that's for sure. Zay Flowers is good. Bench, B-Rob. I like Elijah Moore. I like Charbonnet. I like Jalen Warren. Zay Jones, Marvin Mims is worth a shot. I think you need to break up Goddard and Devontae Smith. And Javonte Williams, you need a better second running back because I don't totally trust him. He didn't make my top 25. All right, I'm up to number 16 is Devontae Smith. You can have 2 alpha receivers in Philadelphia just like you do in Miami, but I think A.J. Brown is the better of the two. And also Smith's production took off when Dallas Goedert was out last year. When Goddard was on the field, it was a little bit more even between him and Goddard. I have Calvin Ridley at 15. Like I said, I don't have any shares of him. I wish I did. Who's your starting tight end for both your leagues? I have Darren Waller for both. Love Darren Waller. Absolutely have him on both of my teams. No regrets. All right, T. Higgins is 14. Not interested in him. He's failed to take that next step. He gets banged up a little bit as well. Obviously, if anything were to happen to Jamar Chase, he would step up and be a bigger target hog, I think, for Joe Burrow. But I'm kind of over him. DK Metcalf, I have 13. He's not the best. It's not the best matchup with Geno Smith because he doesn't like to throw deep. So that is a concern that I have for DK Metcalf. Plus you have Tyler Lockett, who's been a big weapon for them, and now you have the Jackson Smith, who's eventually going to come back. Can I ask why you want to split Goddard and Smith? Because I think both. If you look when both were on the field last year, Cameron, go back and look from last season. They kind of canceled each other out. So it's still a run heavy offense with the quarterback as well. They don't throw it as often as some of these other teams, like Buffalo, like Kansas City. So, and when both Smith and Goddard were on the field together, they kind of canceled each other out to an extent. All right, I have Chris Olave at 12. Love Chris Olave. Do what you have to do to get this guy on your team. Jalen Waddle, number 11. Garrett Wilson is number 10. So I put him behind Davante Adams, who's number 9. But I'm fine with if you take Wilson ahead of Adams. I have my reservations about Davante Adams. I still have him at 9. Based on reputation, he's been quarterback proof, but I don't like that matchup with Jimmy Garoppolo. All right. Early rookie of the year predictions. That's a tough one. Offensive rookie of the year. I mean, you'd have to put in, I guess, Jahmyr Gibbs, but Bijan Robinson would be the easy call for the offensive rookie of the year. All right, Amon-Ra St. Brown is number 8, and you're welcome, Cameron. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I have 8. CeeDee Lamb, number 7. So, those guys. Excuse me, I made a mistake. So I have Garrett Wilson 10, Davante Adams 9, AJ Brown is 8. Pardon me. So I have AJ Brown at 8. CeeDee Lamb is 7. All right, and I have Amon-Ra St. Brown at number 6. All right, so. Like I said, I reached from a little bit, taking him 8th overall in my draft. I don't regret it. I think he's going to be huge, especially that opener where they're going to have to throw the ball a lot. Flowers, wide receiver upside, not yet. No, maybe down the line, but not yet. There's still, Mark Andrews ahead of him, Odell ahead of him. Rashad Bateman. I don't see that just yet. All right, Stephon Diggs, number 5. For the first time in a long time, I'm nervous about Stephon Diggs. I worry about his is he going to have his head in the game? He's clearly unhappy with his contracts. He's unhappy with the team. He's not really getting along with Jonathan Taylor right now. Josh Allen, excuse me. I'm looking up Jonathan Taylor right now, so you can tell he's on my brain. So Diggs scares me a little bit right now. Cooper Kupp is 4. I have him there almost out of obligation. The guy is a target monster. There's no doubt about it, but I would not touch this guy for anything. I have to be fair with the ranking. He was leading all receivers in fantasy points last year before he got hurt. We all know about that ridiculous season he had in 2021. So give the guy his due, but this is a bad offense. He's aging. He's got a stationary quarterback. A lot of potential problems there. Tyreek Hill is number 3. And I think this is generally consensus. Number 2, I have Chase, and number 1 is Justin Jefferson. So those are the guys that pretty much those 3 are the top 3. All right, tight ends. So number 12, I have Dalton Schultz. I'd rather have St. Brown in my PPR league on standard. Yeah, in standard league, he's not as good. And like I said, this is the year where Amon-Ra St. Brown has to prove that he's not Keenan Allen 2.0. He's got to score more touchdowns. So I have Dalton Schultz at number 12. Not a lot of targets for the rookie quarterback there for CJ Stroud. So I think Dalton Schultz, who, if you throw the balls in his range, he'll catch it. He's not very athletic, but he could be a good red zone guy. So I think Dalton Schultz works as number 12. Cole Kmet is my number 11. Sort of the same thing. I mean, he is faster than Schultz, but they're not going to do as much passing as you would like to see in Chicago, so I can't rank Kmet any higher, although he had a decent amount of touchdowns last year. Thoughts on Rashawn Johnson? Listen, Rashawn Johnson was good in Texas. He just got overshadowed by, obviously, his much ballyhooed teammate. By week 4, it could happen. Donta Foreman is nothing. We know that. Khalil Herbert hasn't exactly been able to stay on the field. We've seen glimpses of ability from Herbert, but that's not a stretch to say that Johnson could be the guy by week 4, and I definitely would pick him up if he's available. David Njoku's number 10, great athletic ability, no doubt about it, but you always feel like you're wanting more when it comes to Njoku, so that's why I have him at 10. Evan Ingram at 9. If there wasn't so many different weapons in this offense, I would have him higher. Pat Freiermuth is my number 8. I almost put him at number 7 ahead of Kyle Pitts, but I'll give it another year with Kyle Pitts. I have Pitts at 7. Maybe, this is not a knock on Pitts, whose athletic ability is off the charts. But listen, Freiermuth, I've said this. It's either Kelsey Waller or Freiermuth. Those are the tight ends that I want. Sleeper tight end that's undervalued. Oh, that's easy for me. Hayden Hurst. Hayden Hurst, I think, could be a top 12 guy. I would definitely monitor Hayden Hurst early on in the season. Dallas Goedert, I have 6. I never really ever had the inclination to draft Dallas Goedert. I've just never really been, I got to get Dallas Goedert. No, I've never had that. He's a good player. he doesn't wow me. He got very few red zone targets. You have 2 alpha wide receivers in this offense, still run heavy. I just don't like him. I don't even like George Kittle either at number 5. I like the player in real life, plays with his hair on fire, but he's always hurt. The touchdown total was fluky last year. He's never approached that touchdown number before. And I think he's being overvalued. I do have Darren Waller number 4. I put my money where my mouth is. I have him drafted on both of my teams. He's the only player I doubled up on. And I have him on both. I think he's going to be huge. TJ Hawkinson's my number 3. Mark Andrews my number 2. And obviously Kelsey is my number 1. I think those top 3 are pretty much the consensus. Somebody asked me about defenses, so I'll take a look at the defense. Obviously San Francisco is the number 1 defense. That goes without saying. I have the Eagles at number 2. I think the Eagles defense is really, really good. Those guys that they brought in from Georgia, that's really going to help the turnover on defense there. I have Buffalo number 3. Dallas I have at number 4, and I have New Orleans at number 5. I think New Orleans Saints defense is incredible. And if you look at that New Orleans Saints schedule, do yourself a favor and take a minute and look at that schedule. And if you can't disagree with me that it is a prime schedule for a defense. And if anybody, if you don't own that Saints defense, try to buy low on them before the season begins, because I bet you wouldn't take a lot to get them. I have, Dallas. I had Dallas. I already mentioned them. I have the Jets at number 6. I want to put the Jets a little bit higher. I just, I want to see how well they do wind up rushing the passer. I have the Patriots next at number 7, Pittsburgh at number 8. I think the Bengals I have 9, and the Packers at number 10. So, those are the teams that I have there in the top 10. Only one of my 2 leagues do we use defenses. We don't use kicker in any of my leagues. I still think you should do away with the kicker position. Maybe add a second flex if you want to. The kicker position should be outlawed in fantasy football. Rolling with Saints defense. Yeah, you got to roll with the Saints defense early on. Let's look at the Saints defense, actually, the Saints schedule. So they open up with Tennessee, not a bad matchup. Carolina, great matchup. Green Bay, Tampa Bay. They have New England, Houston, Jacksonville week 7 is tough, but then they go back to Indy. That's a good matchup. Chicago, Minnesota, Atlanta, Detroit, Carolina, Giants, Rams, Tampa Bay, Atlanta. So in the fantasy playoffs, the Saints have the Giants, which is not exactly a juggernaut offense. The Rams, who might have no Stafford at that point, might sit out Cooper Kupp, and then Tampa Bay with Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask in the fantasy football championship. So thank you, Fantasy Dog. I really appreciate that. Denver's defense is good. That division is tough, James. You have the Kansas City Chiefs. You have the passing acumen of Justin Herbert and the Chargers. So that is a really good, offensive attack there. You can't really buy into the Raiders with Jimmy Garoppolo there. But that's a tough division when you have 2 matchups against the Chiefs. You have 2 matchups against the Chargers. You have offensive question marks with Russell Wilson. Can Russell Wilson move the football? And certainly all of these injuries that the Denver Broncos have had on the receiver side of things, that's going to be a potential problem for them. Justin Ross made the team. I did mention that. I'm very curious to see how this breaks down with the Chiefs. I've liked Richie James. I thought he was somebody to keep an eye on early in the season because he did it with the Giants. He caught over 50 passes with the Giants last season. That's okay, ML. Yeah, Albert O got waived. We talked about that. I'm going to be really interested to see how this breaks down. Can Sky Moore be the guy? The draft capital was there, 2nd-round draft pick a couple of years ago. They have Rashee Rice. I have Rashee Rice on my bench waiting to see what happens there. So, I think and listen, Mahomes will make anybody look good. I don't see Sky Moore being the guy. I really think by the end of the season, it's going to be Rashee Rice with Richie James contributing as well. But we have to see, and then also the Giants, who's going to be that number one wide receiver. We know Darren Waller's going to be the top target. Who's going to be the number one wide receiver? Is it Paris Campbell, who's going to be out of the slot? Sterling Shepard can't stay healthy. They have the kid, Jalen Hyatt, who really did some nice things during the preseason. Who knows what's going to happen there. 10 for 182, and he was with Richie James. Yeah, I mean, like I said, Richie James has produced when he's been on the field. So, Justin Ross is not fantasy relevant right now. He's got ability. He's a good college player, no doubt about it. All right, let me see here. Can you rate D-line, linebacker? I have Parson, Petre, and Crosby. It's. I don't know if any of you guys do the individual defensive players. Micah Parsons, to me, is the best defensive player in all of football. I think that goes without saying. So, Max Crosby, I think, would be like number 2. You'd have TJ Watt, Nick Bosa, Myles Garrett, Joey Bosa, the top 10, Aaron Donald, Micah Parsons, Zaven Collins, Brian Burns, those guys. So that's who I would have in the top 10 if you wind up using defenses. But I don't like using the individual defensive players. I think it's kind of, I think it kind of takes away from the game a little bit. I don't. Yeah, I'm not a big IDP guy. All right, so still nothing with Jonathan Taylor. Just no, nothing. Chris Greer. I'm looking right now. There is all quiet on the Jonathan Taylor front right now. And like I said, if they wind up trading him, they have to sign Kareem Hunt. They cannot go into the season with Evan Hull as their starting running back. I mean, the guy can catch the ball, no doubt about it. But it's probably going to have to be a dreaded 3-man committee with Deion Jackson, with Hull, with Zach Moss. I mean, God help Anthony Richardson. I mean, my God, Zach Moss. I mean, for real. Drop Cole Kmet for Hayden Hurst. No, you don't have to do that. I would just monitor Hayden Hurst early on. Nobody's going to pick up Hayden Hurst, I don't think. But from everything I've read, he's been on the same page with Bryce Young. Bryce Young has tremendous short to intermediate accuracy. I think it's good. A good matchup with the two of them. I hope he doesn't go to the Eagles. Yeah, I mean, gosh, if they go to the Eagles, I mean, that's scary for the entire NFL if he winds up going to the Eagles. It really is. I bet they get Jeff Wilson in trade. Yeah, they would have to. I've talked about that, ML. They would have to get either Jeff Wilson or Raheem Mostert. So get ready to strike, guys. If this deal goes down and Taylor gets traded, to Miami and they send Jeff Wilson back, jump right off the stream and then go pick him up. Because Jeff Wilson, I think, would be a decent, high-end running back 3, low-end running back 2 guy. And we've seen him produce in the past. What about Leonard Fournette? Apparently, the workouts that Fournette's had, he was out of shape. He was overweight. So I don't, he was on fumes as a runner last year. I'm not holding my breath with Leonard Fournette. Jeff Wilson and Mostert would be so. Yeah, I think either one of those guys would be solid pickups if they wind up. You would have to think that that's what the Colts would do. That they would have to bring in somebody to help out. Anthony Richardson. Yeah, still nothing. Unbelievable. Let me just see if Adam Schefter put anything out there. Nope. Man, I'm starting to wonder if this is not going to get done. And I really thought that the Dallas Cowboys would get involved in this. I was wrong. I thought Jerry Jones would have stars in his eyes when he looked at Jonathan Taylor, but to maybe give Tony Pollard some help. But it doesn't look like it's happening. More interested in the Colts mostly because I would be more interested in Jeff Wilson as well. All right, guys, I'm going to pop off here. Wait for this Jonathan Taylor situation. So look for the video there. I'm going to do an instant reaction video if he does wind up getting traded. So hit the subscribe button. No, Zamora, I think only one of them will get traded. But anyway, so check back with me in a little bit once this trade goes down. And until then, have a great day, everybody. We'll talk soon.